So mercy, a really good place to start would be what should mercy mean to me, and then of course what you just said is the better place to start, because if we were starting philosophically, we might miss something really important about mercy, which is something that you should do. Whereas a lot of the philosophy and metaphysics, say in this case Islamic, which is I'm speaking of, but even in other traditions, it's far more complicated. It means that mercy is that which actually gives existence to, and is really, it doesn't care one way or the other, gives existence to Charles Manson, gives it just happily, it's like a womb, comes from the word rahim, womb, meaning it doesn't judge, it merely nurtures and treasures, no matter what the opinions of other people are. But actually, on the other hand, we will keep in mind a couple of important verses in the Quran as we go forward in the conversation. So with regard to your particular question, there's a very important saying which God says, Rahmati sabaqat ghazabi. So God says, my mercy, it precedes my wrath. So now we know God has wrath and God has mercy. But ontologically, for Rumi and the Sufis, there is a reason why we would favor the mercy. Because we would understand, not only from our instincts that we should hopefully we have the instincts to favor mercy, but also we would understand that the divine names include mercy and wrath, creation and destruction, inexplicable harm, say, to perfectly nice people, inexplicable destruction, incomparable sadness, it would seem. But God says, I have wisdom of all of this, and yet in this wisdom we find out that always the mercy, it has dominion over the wrath. And that's why in many passages, at some other occasion I could read to you from Masnavi, Rumi advises us to not just escape multiplicity and the lower world because of duality, but because our freedom lies in embracing the mercy. So he equates the mercy with spiritual clarity and freedom and with love. So mercy and love are equated. And so we come there to say the Christ. Huh? So in the religion of Christianity, Christ is a manifestation of spirit. He is the embodiment. He is the spirit. He is by definition merciful. We find out he gets upset at the temple of the money changers, but we don't see him becoming wrathful very often. Almost never do we do see that one moment when he is wrathful with the money changers and he upsets the tables at the temple. Why is he upset? Because they've set up the money tables at the temple. So to him this is the height of inappropriateness, and he naturally has a response of wrath. But then on the other hand, people do unbelievably horrid things to him, and he doesn't show any wrath to them. He shows contrition, he shows humility, he shows acceptance, etc. So we understand that he gives us this sample of anger, making him more comprehensive than he otherwise would be. We see that he also has some measure. God, of course, has wrath in this context, but Jesus shows less of this sign. In the Islamic tradition, the mercy is the first of the divine names are about the mercy. So from that sense, they have precedence. They give existence, but they also give kindness. So the Muslim is aware that most of humanity is wrathful. What about Rumi? Rumi has a line that I was quoting earlier today where he says, "Oh God, please exchange my hilm for hilm." Now hilm means rage, and hilm means gentleness. He says, because you are Halim, one of God's divine names is gentle. See, there's the names that are associated with the mercy, and one of them is Halim. So Rumi, throughout the Masnavi, he says, I'm a human and I am subject also. I have wrath, and here's how I try to work with it. So he gives us examples of how he tries to work with it. And the main ones is that he keeps, when he is wrathful, he tries to find his way through every means possible, challenging himself, mainly seeking refuge in God's mercy, seeking forgiveness, attacking himself instead of attacking others, and so forth. You see, so he uses conscience, in other words. Now, this word conscience is going to be very much related to mercy. And arguably, since conscience in this tradition is Vajdan, it's related to the very idea of existence and spiritual consciousness, in Vajd. Arguably, anyone who is spiritually blind, they will have less conscience. So do you see there's going to be a linkage we will see between conscience and the mercy, and lack of conscience linked to indoctrination, to selfishness in the guise of doing good, etc. And so, but tonight we'll explore those avenues. But you're right that for most of us, we find out the mercy in the most useful way to us as human beings. The way that we most likely could come to find some closeness to God would be to accept that we should be merciful at all times that we can. We should always choose the mercy over the wrath. So this would be the teaching, the more useful teaching. But you'll see after the break that for Shabastari, he wants us to know that the place known as the footstool and the throne of God are the mercy. So he's going to take us back into cosmology, and he's going to show how it only gets worse from there as you come down into the domains of turbidity, and you come to the sublunar realm, as they call it, which means our domain. There's going to be a question of light. Mercy is related to light, to transparency, and darkness and cruelty is equated to the lack of transparency, to opacity caused by these domains. And so when we come back, we can look a little bit at this.